All right, so today we're going to be talking about finding least common denominators and trying to cancel out fractions in our equations, but we're not quite going to solve the equation. So if you notice in the directions for the problem, it says find the LCD and multiply but do not solve. So first thing you need to know is that an LCD means least common denominator. All right, so you've probably heard of least common multiple. So for example, if I were to have 1 over x plus 3 over 4 equals 5 over 6, and I wanted to find a least common denominator, I first need to note that all my denominators are on the bottom. Okay, so if you look at the ones that have numbers, you're going to write out a list of multiples. So if I list my multiples of 4, I would say I have 4, 8, 12, 16, 20, 24, 28, and so on. I can go on forever. Multiples of 6 would be 6, 12, 18, 24, 30, 36, and so on. All right, so if I look at which ones are in common, right, I'm looking for the least common, meaning the same. So I have 12 and 12. I have 24 and 24. But if I'm looking for the least, I want the smallest one. So notice that 12 would be the smallest one. But I also need to take into account my variable. So I would need to say my LCD would be 12x. All right, at least for this problem. So then we're going to talk about how to multiply when we get down here. All right, so for problem number 1, you're going to look at all your denominators. Right? I have a denominator of x, 2. Now my denominator here is 1. So make sure you're looking at all your denominators. If I were to look at my multiples of 1 and 2, right? Multiples of 1 are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, etc. Multiples of 2 are 2, 4, 6, 8, and so on. All right, if I'm looking for my least, the number that's on both lists, that's the smallest, that would be 2. But I also need to take into account my x, so my LCD is 2x. All right, so the way that we're going to multiply this, I'm just going to rewrite this problem again, but I'm going to leave a little bit of space. Okay, so we have 5 over x, 7 over 2, minus 4 over 1. My LCD is 2x. So I'm going to multiply each fraction by 2x over 1. All right, and then I'm going to do what we've been doing earlier in the chapter, is you look for things that can cancel out. Can anything cross off? My x's cancel, so I'm left with 2 times 5, which is 10 over 1, which is also known as 10. All right, in this problem, my 2's cancel, so I'm left with 7x over 1, which is also known as 7x. Here, nothing cancels, so I'm left with 8x over 1, so I'm left with this. For now, we're just going to stop here. As long as you have no fractions left in your problem, then you're all done. Tomorrow, we're going to talk about solving and continuing the problem. Okay? We're only doing that because it says do not solve. All right, so problem number 2, we're going to list our multiples of 2, multiples of 3. All right, so my multiples of 2 are 2, 4, 6, 8. Multiples of 3 are 3, 6, 9, and 12. So once you get to one that's on both lists, you got that. So you have 6, but then don't forget about your x. So my LCD is 6x. All right, so I'm going to rewrite my problem, but I'm going to leave a little bit of space in between each fraction. So I'm going to take this LCD and multiply 6x over 1, 6x over 1, 6x over 1. And then within each portion of the problem, you're going to cross off anything that's the same. So I'm going to cancel my x's. I'm left with 18 over 1, which is just 18. I have my plus sign. Nothing cancels, so I'm left with 54x over 2, because 6 times 9 is 54, and 1 times 2 is 2. That reduces to 27x. Over here, nothing cancels, so I'm left with negative 12x over 3, which is also known as negative 4x. Okay, so I'm all done. As long as there's no fractions, you're going to just stop here for today. All right, look at the next page. All right, so we're going to do the same thing. Now notice there's only 2 denominators here. So we only need to look at the 3 and the x. So my LCD is just going to be 3x. Okay, so I'm just going to rewrite this. X minus 2 over x equals 4 over 3. Next to each one, I'm going to take my LCD. 3x over 1, 3x over 1. So I'm going to cancel out anything that's in common. So I'm left with 3 times the quantity x minus 2 equals 4x over 1, which is just 4x. So now I know I'm done because there's no more fractions. All right, my LCD here, because this is a binomial, I need to just keep that in there. So it's 6 and x minus 2. You just write them down. So that's my LCD. And then I'm going to rewrite my problem. My LCD is going to go next to this. We have 6x minus 2 over 1, 6x minus 2 over 1. And then anything that's in this part, that's the same. I can cancel on top and bottom. So I'm left with x minus 2, x plus 3. Over here, those x minus 2's cancel, so you're left with 6x plus 1 all over 1, but you don't really need that. All right, as long as there's no fraction, we're just going to stop here for today. All right, problem number 5. Look at all my denominators. Some of my denominators are 1, so my LCD is just 1x, or just x. All right, so I've got x over 1 plus 9 over x equals negative 2 over 1. My LCD is x. So I'm going to multiply each fraction by x over 1. All right, so in here, does anything cancel? No, I got x squared over 1, which is just x squared. The x's cancel, so I'm left with 9 over 1, which is just 9. And then over here, nothing cancels, so I'm left with negative 2x over 1, which is just negative 2x. And for here, we're just going to stop today. All right, last problem. We've got my denominators. Notice these are the same. So when I do my LCD, I only need to write that down 1 time, since these are the same. All right, so my LCD is going to go next to each fraction. Again, I'm going to leave a little bit of space so that I have room to write. All right, my LCD is 3x plus 2 over 1. 3x plus 2 over 1, and 3x plus 2 over 1. All right, so now I'm going to look for what's in common. I've got x plus 2's. So I've got 12 equals, here my 3's are in common. I'm left with x and x plus 2. And over here, my x plus 2's.
The art club is canceled for today. Thank you.
All right, my x plus 2's cancel, so I'm left with 3. All right, and then if you notice, there's no more fractions, so you're all done. So for here, you could just stop. All right, make sure you notice that when you divide by 1, you don't really need that, so I just left those off.